streets. You know? It's the great part about the internet streets. Some people are watching on their phone. People are fucking sitting on their couch. The game has changed.
Should we dive into just some of our props just to get things off on the right foot here now that we're rolling?
Yes. Let me hear your props.
Okay, so you have not seen these yet, right?
No, you made some bets this morning?
Yep. I made 6 prop bets.
Okay.
Shooting for the stars. Here we go. I took Mike Evans to be the MVP plus 3,500.
Okay, I like it.
Like that value? I took...
Did that go up to win the MVP?
To win the MVP.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I know. I took Harrison Butker to win the MVP, John, plus 15,000. I'm not feeling great about it, but one of the longest odds of the whole thing. I took Levante David plus 9,000 to be the MVP. Second on the team in tackles, forces some fumbles, doesn't get a lot of sacks. First touchdown of the game, I took Mahomes plus 1,100. Just run it in.
I don't mind
Are you getting distracted by the comments right now?
No, I can do about 3 things at once. Kep could just chip it in, I think. Fuck.
I got Brady to score the first MVP. I mean, the first touchdown, plus 2,000. That's just a little sneaky, little sneak, Brady sneak. I got Mahomes total completions. If he hits 24 completions on the nose, plus 1,300.
So what if he gets 25?
I don't get. He's got to hit 24 completions on them. I wanted something that would carry on through the game.
That's
a little
good.
low, but
that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
You like that? All right, now we got yours. Your props are. This is as they are now. If someone wanted to run to my bookie and take these right now, you can tell us what you got these at. Is that what you got it at?
Yeah, I got it at 700. Yeah. So I got $50. I think I got $1,400 riding on. No, my math's all fucked up. But what I put? So yeah, 450. Excuse me, 450. Would that be wrong? 350.
You put 50 to win 350.
I don't know. I got.
Is that what you're saying?
I gotta look at my bets. I don't know I thought I had a pretty good payout on that one. Maybe I don't know. I thought the payout on Gronk was decent. What are my other 2 ones I feel pretty good about?
Okay, here are your other 2. Middlecoff also has Honey Badger MVP plus 3,500. Is that what you got him at?
No, see, I'm wrong on the Gronkowski, or I told you wrong. I have Gronkowski at 1,400 to win to score the first touchdown. I put $50 to win 700.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I got $50 on him plus 1,400 to score the first touchdown.
All right.
I got the Honey Badger. I got $25 on him. At that went down. I got him at 400 plus 40 to 1.
Okay.
So $25 pays 1,000, and then I got Devin White at plus. I got him at 500 or
plus 5,000. We opened at plus 6,600, and we loved it. Oh, that was a week ago.
$25 pays $12.50.
That's pretty good. What do you think of this prop? Everyone root along. I mean, the second somebody scores a touchdown for the Chiefs, I think this one's out. But
that one feel like a big field goal punt game. But I think a lot of times in some of these situations, you think a high scoring game or low scoring game, and it always flip flop. You just never have any clue because the first quarter can be way off. You get like 7-0 halftime score, and it ends up 30-25. There's just so much unknown with how the game starts. To me, if the game starts like a normal NFL game and there's a lot of points being scored, I'd say Harrison Butker is in a little trouble. But if it's like a jumbled, field goal game, you might have a chance.
I put $5 on that to win $750. So low risk bet. Anyway, so that's what's up.
Woo!
That's what we got. Okay, can we talk about a few other things here? News of the day here. This is not necessarily Super Bowl related, but as we expected, John, there would be some news today. Chris Plank tweeted this. I was not watching when Lock and Forrest said Kyle Shanahan's very high on Sam Darnold. Pats would likely be a destination for Garoppolo if Niners move him. I mean, obviously. But I guess, what is it, May 3rd or May 4th, you got to make the decision on picking up the 5th-year option on Sam Darnold at $25 million. But this year he makes like $4.5.
Yeah, see, to me, the move is basically you're buying him 2 years for $30 million.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that today once I saw that tweet and just the buzz on the internet about some connection with Darnold and Kyle and the Niners. You're not doing any fucking extension. The Niners already learned from that before. You're buying a guy 2 years, $15 million, which if he's a top 15 starter, you feel fantastic about. Like, again, there's a price point now. What do you have to give up to get him? He basically gets a 2-year trial run. And if he plays great, then you figure it out from there. But, like, I'm not into, you just take it 1 year at a time and just no rush. Everyone shits on the Cowboys. Aren't they the ones that look smart relative to Goff and Wentz, right? I mean, they're just playing it year by year. They're in no pressure. They're in no rush. I actually think they come out. The other team couldn't get rid of Jared Goff fast enough, and the Eagles are now going to get rid of Wentz, and the Cowboys are just like, we're going to franchise him, tag him again.
Yeah.
And you like him. You're in no rush. If he wins big, then you keep him. And if he doesn't, you can move on.
Right.
The rush to pay people in the NFL it just has always shocked me. And I know it's like, well, you got to get his cap number down. Well, yeah, or it's like, he'll become cheaper. Well, he's got to keep playing well. Like Jared Goff became a disaster. I think the Eagles is less about talent and more about personality fit. They are basically doing what the Rams did to Goff, except they benched him and they hate him probably even more as a person. They're just not coming out and saying any of that, right? Because there haven't been too many stories that kind of feel Eagle leaked that are like they just can't stand the guy.
Yeah, because
they also want to trade him.
Yeah, they want to trade him, and also they have to make people think they might consider keeping him. Although it doesn't. The stories were the last couple of days. It's about to happen. But how can you? I don't know how we can say it's about to happen unless it's actually about to happen, right? Especially if the story one day is like the Eagles want 2 ones. It's like, well, if no one's giving them 2 ones, how is it about to happen?
Well, the Schefter article, there's some of that. Like they're telling everyone right now 2 ones and a 3. They want the Stafford price. Then later, like they're not really sold on keeping him, but they are. Like it's just like, yeah, they're gonna fucking trade the guy. They're asking right now an enormous offer. I like using the house analogy. They're asking way too much for their house. They know they're going to come down on it. They're going to sell. Like, this guy is getting traded in the next couple days. That, to me, is where the Sam Darnold domino effect, like, Sam Darnold is in line and Carson Wentz is ahead of him. Because just more teams, to me, even though he's way cheaper, are more interested in Carson Wentz, right? His ceiling is just dramatically higher.
Yeah, I mean, my guess is more teams would take Darnold just based on the price, potentially, that you think he might just be financially cheaper and from a draft standpoint or a trade standpoint cheaper.
I mean, there's a chance Sam Darnold, and Wentz might stink too, but I know Wentz has Pro Bowl talent. I don't know if Sam Darnold will ever make a Pro Bowl.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, my guess would be if we said how many teams would consider taking Darnold, I bet that number of teams is just higher than the number of teams that would take. Just Wentz is just, in other words, like Darnold is a decision. Obviously, everyone's going to make the decision. But to me, Darnold would be one of those things like on a day-to-day at an office, like your office manager can make the decision on Darnold. Wentz needs like the CEO of the company to come in and make that. It's just there's so much more involved in adding Carson Wentz, I think, than adding Sam Darnold. But you're right. Like,
part of adding Sam Darnold is it might not mean a fucking thing, right? You might just be average and you didn't trade for much.
Yeah, although there is, you could shoot a hole in what I just said and be like, well, you're going to commit $25 million in 2022 to the guy. So it is a big decision.
Yeah, paying a guy $30 million over 2 years that might not be any good is a pretty big risk. I think there is a lot of risk on Sam Darnold. There is more on Carson, but there also just comes way more. He's a way more polarizing, way more famous, way more just kind of fascinating player, right, than Sam Darnold ever is. Part of it is just
it's just messier. He's just messier.
Yeah, it's way messier.
I wouldn't feel great about, are you sure? What percentage chance would you say you're sure that Sam Darnold's better than Jimmy Garoppolo?
Yeah, I mean, but none of these things with Sam Darnold I feel great about. I don't think he's for sure better than Jimmy. I think he could be better than Jimmy. I also think he might never play as well as Jimmy's high end. Like, I do know for a fact, if you can get Carson Wentz right, he is dramatically better than Jimmy Garoppolo. Dramatically better than Jared Goff. But, like, there's this element with Carson Wentz. Is he ever going to get right? There's two elements with Carson Wentz that are the problem, right? Can you get him fixed? Then all the off the field, which also encompass football. Is he coachable? Will he listen to people on his ass? Do his teammates going to like him? Do his teammates not going to like him because he's not coachable? It's all kind of interconnected. With Sam, it's just like, is he physically good enough? Jimmy, to me, is like, he's fine probably if he's healthy, but the problem is he gets hurt every other game. They're all kind of, there's a reason they're all kind of available. You know what? Good quarterbacks don't become available.
That's right.
You'd think. I mean, I guess people called on Aaron Rodgers. People called on Russell Wilson.
Yeah, and what team are they on? Like, they're not available.
Yeah, they're on their own teams.
You know, the perfect team, I think, for Wentz would be Easterby's team. Just send him to the Texans.
What do you think about this whole ordeal with him?
When I saw this, so somebody DM'd me this on, was it Friday that this became a video, or was it Thursday afternoon maybe? I think it was like Thursday afternoon. That's what it was.
Yeah, it was last week.
Somebody DMs me this, and it's like, I didn't realize what they were sending me. I didn't realize I was watching Easterby. And I watch it, I'm like, this guy's not funny. And then I just started going through the comments because I was like, I'm missing something here. Clearly I'm missing something. And then it became apparent that it was Easterby. And once I saw this video, I went, I'm 100% team Deshaun Watson. Not because Easterby's not funny. Not because I don't think Easterby's a great speaker. Not because he's wearing Gucci sneakers.
This is not a comedian skit.
It's because he's making football decisions.
This is a sermon. That was not comedy.
Well, no, I understand, but he's not. He thinks it's comedy, and it's not funny. But I don't care about that. I wouldn't care about it. I don't care about it. If he was the team chaplain and that's all he was, I wouldn't care. But he's making football decisions, and once I connected the dots that this is the guy making football decisions, I'm all with the team Deshaun, John.
The best comment I saw was someone that's like, regardless what's coming out of this man's mouth, his pants-shoe combination. Like, bro, did you look in the mirror before you left the house? What is going on there?
Well, isn't that worse when I saw someone in the comments point out that he's wearing Gucci sneakers.
Are they?
That's what someone in the comments said, that they're Gucci sneakers.
Yeah.
Which makes it 10 times worse.
Yeah, I just think, listen, no one has a problem with being the team chaplain. No one has a problem with people of faith. Not a fucking soul. But when my issue with this guy is, you can't use the position of faith, which is very, very sacred for the people that you are bringing into your umbrella. And on a football team, and I've seen it in college and I've seen it in the pros, is a large percentage of guys. A large percentage of guys gravitate toward that individual. On a 53-man team, there might be like 20 people of the 53 that are playing on game day that go to like your Sunday service, whatever, at the team hotel after you eat before you get on the bus to go. You are influencing a lot of people. There is a direct line that gets blurred the moment you start controlling their salaries, trading them. Like, to me, there's a separation between church and state, and this guy hasn't blurred it. He went right through it. And my main issue with this guy, why I call him a fraud, he used God to get the power. And it's like I have problems with people in politics that like use the poor to move up. It feels very dirty. It really does. And I'm with you. Like, I fucking completely team Watson because of that guy. And today the story that comes that you fired the equipment guy, this to me reeks of you're worried about all the wrong shit. And a guy like Easterby who doesn't know what to be worried with. And honestly, it does have a little Patriot. You got to get all the Patriot guys. The combination of the two of them might be like a powder keg of disaster.
Was there anything that was there any indication as to why the equipment guy got fired?
I have not seen
he likes Deshaun, or Deshaun likes him, or whatever.
I saw he's close with Deshaun, but I saw JJ Watt tweet about him, like devastation. They fired a team PR girl earlier, like in the year. I just think there's a lot of those guys get very uncomfortable when it crosses their mind you might not be 100% on their team because they're doing really weird shit. So if you're not hired by that person directly, you're going to think they're a wacko. And that's where I really think it gets back to the insecurity about they're doing such weird stuff, where in their mind, I think they're like trailblazers. Like they're changing everything. And
but I don't even know what their point of, like, I understood why Daryl Morey was different, right? Or Billy Beane was different. I don't know what is their point of difference? What is Casario's?
Well, it's culture. Well, Casario's, I don't know, but I'm
Culture's
just saying
awful.
Easterby is going to be culture, right type people, sermons, chaplain.
Yeah. And Deshaun Watson, the irony is, like, they want him. They're right about him. Like, they want to keep him. They're right. But the problem is you can't alienate the most important person in your organization.
Yeah, I think this guy's point of difference is God. The problem is he's making way more money now. The Gucci slippers, he's in this weird spot, and that's where I get, if those are Gucci slippers, like, I'm sorry, the guy's a complete fraud.
But again, all of that is one thing, and then, like you said, when you cross the line of you're making football decisions, now we're into a whole other realm.
Someone gave me shit on Instagram, like, Middlecoff, Reggie White, Kurt Warner, big time men of faith. I'm like, yeah, they're not influencing a DeAndre Hopkins trade. They're not influencing how much of a roster bonus they should give the star guard that they sign, who goes to Chaplin every Sunday. Like, that, to me, the Texans right now have, they're a sinking ship. By the way, they kind of are the bar right now of disaster in the NFL. Like, the Lions feel a little bit more stable, don't they?
Yeah, until I saw the thing on the ticker last night that said Charles Calvin Johnson.
Yeah.
The first player to be inducted before he's 35, or by the age of 35. Like, Calvin Johnson is 35?
Man, he retired early.
I know, but they ran him out of the league. So
Kinda. He had foot problems.
I know. By the way, our guy Brian Collins, C4 Concepts, podcast listener who sent us this stuff, John.
Yeah. Love it.
Wore mine out. I know you posted it. I posted on Instagram, and he said, I got a lot of people DMing us. So C4 Customs. That's where there's your Super Bowl gear. Anyway, just want to point that out.
Like that stuff.
It's really cool. How about this? Will in the comments says, send the Jets a third and a fifth for Darnold. Doesn't feel like that's going to get it done. I mean, Adam Schefter on the podcast told us it would be a late first, he thought, eventually. So I liked your idea to, what was it? Just flip-flop ones? You send the Jets 12, they send you 2 and Sam Darnold?
I do go back and forth.
Or maybe there are other.
Like, what if no one's offering a first? Like, you do part of right now what's going on, I think, with the Eagles and Wentz. Everyone's trying to gauge the market. Like, is anyone even getting nearly as close as me if I'm offering 2 1s and the next biggest offer is like a 1 and a 4? You're like, what the fuck am I doing this for? I need to gauge the Sam. This is where, like, hey, Robert, we helped put you in the, you became a head coach because of me. Let's not get it twisted. You just did. Can you give me some honest feedback? Like, I'm not fucking flipping 12 to 23 if your best offer is a third. Now, listen, I might give you a second, but let's do high level business here. Let's not try to fuck each other, because I thought about that. I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I mean, I don't know if I'm getting a good player in Sam Darnold. Is anyone in the late ones? Are we sure that, like, what's his name? Sean Payton, to me, he'd be one of the only guys in the quote unquote late one that would even want him. I think he's like 26 or 27. So it's like, no, I'm not. I part of the Niners, if you're going to be super prudent, which they clearly are, a little tight for my liking, you just have to make good decisions. Like, you can't splurge on a non-splurge. They've done it once in the last couple of years when they gave Jerick McKinnon a shitload of money, and it backfired. And they kind of did it with D Ford, royal backfire. Just stick to staying in your lane of dominating deals, but you got to then be kind of tight, and that's who they are. And when I mean tight, like, they just refuse to overpay, except for occasional free agent that, like, Kyle has to have. And then really, he doesn't have, like, I do think there's a balance with Kyle about draft picks. Like, he's not into, like, just giving ones for nobodies. If anything, he's kind of, history has shown us he's the opposite. You just have to, at this point in time with the players that are available, to me, it's you underpay for these guys and try to land them.
Yeah, I wonder. So to me, one, like you said New Orleans, right? They drafted 28. Like, could you ultimately get Darnold for 43? And I'm not even positive that that's a great deal for the Niners. But let's just say for a second, you've decided, you've read the market, no one's trading a 1. I do wonder if like Carolina would send their second rounder plus Teddy, because clearly they're. And then if you're the Jets, you get Teddy in there to be Justin Fields' mentor.
Yeah, one thing I'd wonder there would be, are they like beating down the doors? Like, is Sam Darnold changing their franchise? Like, is Teddy that much?
Yeah, no,
different?
I don't know. I'm just saying, like, you're right. It could not be Carolina. I'm just saying, what would be the competition that would keep you from trading something other than a first round pick? That's, like, who else could elevate the price on Darnold is my question.
Washington could be kind of desperate. Maybe they like him. Carolina, their 2's really high. So if they're willing to give a 2, their 2's higher than yours.
Yeah, that's what
I think ideally, I'd like to give like a second this year and if the market's somewhat aggressive, like a second this year and a third next year, something like that. That to me is probably proper value. I've thought a lot about it. I just wonder if the 1 is way too rich.
For Darnold, I think it is.
Risk is really high.
Because here's
Wentz,
the deal.
I get it.
If you called the Jets and said, we'll flip-flop 23 and 12, we'll give you 12, you give us 23 and Darnold, I think the Jets would say yes to that in the blink of an eye.
Well, that's basically equivalent probably of another first-round pick to them, right?
Yeah, what would it take to get from 23 to 12 if it wasn't Darnold? Would you have to trade usually a future 1?
Yeah.
Yeah, so to me, the Jets would say yes to that too quickly.
I agree.
Visionless Dave says, how about we talk about the Super Bowl, fellas? We can. We figure there's 9 million channels talking just about whether or not the Chiefs can block the Bucs' defensive line. So,
yeah. I mean, we'll have a podcast on the Super Bowl after.
How about we talk about the Phoenix Open PGA, fellas? That's what Over Under said. Where are we on Middlecoff's in line to win $2,500 on Scotty Scheffler?
Koepka's going to win it.
Is he really? Let's take a look at this leaderboard here.
Xander went in the water. Jordan just went in the water. Oh. Did he go in the water? He went in the water. Scotty Scheffler, I mean, if he can birdie here, he'll probably just get second. Nice little win for Koepka. I'll give him that. Nice little win for Koepka.
Healthy again.
Kings, Sacramento, 12 and 11.
No golf talk allowed? Okay.
Okay, Visionless Dave. Well, thanks, program director.
God, I hope Jordan's back, John. I hope Jordan's back.
When I saw the Wentz buzz yesterday, do you buy into the Eagles wouldn't trade Wentz today? Like, there's no way it can break during the Super Bowl that Carson Wentz has been traded, right?
Like when Alex Rodriguez signed a big extension during the World Series and everyone got mad?
But Alex kind of led the charge on that, right? Like, I do think the Eagles know, and Jeffrey Lurie, like, this is just not the day. Like, you do wait to do business tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean,
I think
I would think. The question is there a league mandate that says you do not do anything crazy today?
To me, it's one of these just unspoken rules. Like, it's like, don't be a fucking moron. Like, we're all in this together. Like, you benefit off the Super Bowl being big. Like, why just wait till tomorrow when we use you, right? You are part of the pawns that keep this thing going, right?
There's no doubt, but I do wonder if the phone rings today, the phone rings today.
Well, I think part of it is it's up to Howie and Jeffrey to be like, listen, talks happen Monday, right?
Yeah, or we can just agree, like, we are not, it's the two of us, we're not telling a soul, right? Ryan Pace, we are not telling Schefter today, we are not telling anybody today.
That to me is always risky, though.
It is. But I would imagine they got to know right now who, if they're close with somebody, right?
Yes. It did make it sound like, this is where I get back to the Sam Darnold thing. I don't think people quite know they have a gauge on that. Maybe they're waiting for Carson Wentz. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Carson Wentz, Howie went 2 1s and a 3. And everyone's like, get fucked.
Well, he called Frank Reich, and Frank's like, no. Are you kidding me?
So no one's doing that deal. If they come back, what would your guess that Carson Wentz ends up getting traded for? Because he's gone. Like, I've texted with a lot of people, like, it is over.
I don't think it's 2 1s.
1 and a 2? With like a 1 this year, 2 next year. That to me seems pretty fair.
Yeah. I mean, but part of this is like, it's such a weird dynamic, right? You know they want to trade him and they don't want him back. And you also know that, I think he's trying to play the Colts and the Bears against each other, and they probably both know the other one, isn't it? Like, Matt Nagy knows, to a degree, like what Frank Reich thinks of him. And Frank Reich knows what Matt Nagy thinks of Wentz.
Well, John DeFilippo's with the Bears. I mean,
yeah, like they know if they all sat around 4 years ago, and were like, oh, Carson, man, you're such a pain in the ass. Like, they know if the other one, like, my guess is the Bears and the Colts each know that the other side doesn't love Carson. Right? And so now it's clear that neither side loves him to the degree that they're willing to do whatever it takes to get him.
I do think it's probably not unprecedented, but pretty nuts how fast this thing went from 0 to 60 till he's gone. I mean, they were in the playoffs last year and they had a chance to win at home. He gets a concussion and they were happy with him, right? His first full healthy season, he turned it on at the end of the season. They then, in the offseason, draft a quarterback. I wonder if there's a domino effect with that concussion that led to Jalen Hurts. If he doesn't have a concussion, let's say he plays well in that game, they beat a Seattle team that, remember, had a million injuries, and then they lose in the second round, but everything's good. They don't draft a quarterback. Maybe he just plays a little bit better, and they're never even at this situation.
Yeah.
I wonder if the concussion thing really rattles you, even though it was such a freak deal and he had a good season. And now he's traded? This, to me, to just 5 years into a guy you drafted really high, who's had really good moments, one bad season, just to dump on the guy, that's where it's not even arguable there's off-the-field stuff. It's not just football. We have seen way worse guys go just figure it out with guys. I think Derek Carr's a really good example, who's just good guy. People like him. Coaches, are cool with him. Like, he's kind of on the block every year, but he just 9 years later fucking have a 12-year Raider career. Right? But, I mean, these guys are like, Wentz, you're gone. Boom. Phones are open. See ya. It's like, holy shit.
And that would scare me if I'm anybody else. Now, again, the Niners probably have less of a known. Like, the other teams do know him way better than anybody else, the Bears and the Colts.
No, the Niners' new quarterback coach was with Philly last year. Rich Scangalreal.
What's his last name?
Rich Scangalreal.
Oh. Good call.
Yeah, the Italian guy. You little UC Davis background.
Eric says, let's get the likes up. Yeah, everyone liked this video. We appreciate that. Subscribe to this channel. We appreciate that. We'll have a podcast out right after
I think the hard part with the Rich guy, he was only in Philly for 1 year. He saw the worst of it. I'm sure he got to hear a bunch of other stories. I think if you're Kyle, you can just call Doug. This is the problem with scouting, though. Doug has a perspective on it, his angle. Everyone has their own truth, right? You do.
Yeah,
like, but I want to call Deuce Staley. I want to call a lot of people.
Yeah, but Doug's truth is like, it was in Doug's best interest for Carson Wentz to succeed. It was in Doug's best interest for the Eagles not to draft Jalen Hurts and for Carson Wentz to be all in on Carson Wentz. So, like, Doug had every reason to make it work with Carson.
Yeah, but again, guy, it got him fired. He has an agenda with Carson Wentz. There just is.
Well,
I'm not saying he might even be right.
Yeah, but there's a difference, right? Like agenda and just here's the reality of what happened. Tell me what happened.
From his side.
Yeah. Well, that's where it gets to like, John, you tell me about some interaction you had with somebody else I know. I get to decide whether or not I trust everything you told me or if I take it with a grain of salt.
Well, it's a huge part of life. And it's why I think a lot of mistakes are made when you deal with humans because everyone has their own truth. And I'm not saying I've defended Doug Peterson. But I'm just saying that, and he might be 60% in the right, but when you hear from him, he's giving you 100% of his side. And if you like him and even believe him, you just believe a large percentage of what he's telling you.
Well,
right?
Yeah, but I mean, part of this is it's understanding, does Doug Peterson have a real perspective of what happened?
Well, he has. Say a real. Yeah,
well, like how accurate, how self-reflective is he when you talk to him? I'm just saying, like, we all deal with it all the time. You're right. You can make mistakes with it, but it also can be really valuable. When you talk to the strength and conditioning coach of a team, you might hate a guy, but he might also tell you the truth about a guy that somebody else wouldn't tell you.
And it's why it becomes so complicated when humans are assets. To me, it's much easier when it's just black and white on a spreadsheet.
What's the other
when
thing?
you're
He's
dealing
been terrible.
with these personalities, it's hard. It could be a royal disaster. It could also be, you would agree that it does have an opportunity to be one of the great come-ups for one of these teams that trades for him. And he goes
depending
to
on what
even
they trade for him, yeah.
But I'd say regardless, even let's say they overpay 2 ones and he makes 3 Pro Bowls in the next 4 years, they would fucking be like,
if he looks like the MVP again, then it doesn't matter what you traded for him. But to me, if he looks like he did last year, it doesn't matter how little you traded for him; it's not worth it.
I agree.
To me, bad for your locker room. We think
it does not need to be MVP. It does not need to be MVP level though to be a roaring success. To me, if he's a Pro Bowler, that's worth 2 ones.
Yeah.
Consistent Pro Bowl, not a one-time Pro Bowl, but a guy that's just consistently there. To me, that's worth 2 ones.
Look, I would consider it. What concerns me is that I don't. Doesn't seem like he had a great run from a leadership standpoint in Philadelphia. And the injuries,
my big red flag.
Like the thing that bothers me the least is how bad his completion, how inaccurate he was, and the bad decisions he made on the field. That's third
terrible
on my list of problems for him, and that's the problem. Leadership, injuries to me are higher.
God awful. But see, this is why I think he is a way more polarizing guy, because you can just be like, well, he's got the talent. I think half the people went back to Darnold won't be like, well, his talent is pretty good, right?
Yeah.
It's like, couldn't we just draft a guy
that
has way more talent?
The Colts don't have a better option than Carson Wentz right now on their team.
The
Bears don't have a. I mean, are the Bears going to trade? Are the Bears going to trade Nick Foles to the Eagles? That was one of the rumors.
The report I saw was a first rounder, Tyreek Cohen, and Nick Foles.
Because Foles has a bunch of money. Like, you can't keep him on your roster if you're them.
And then if you're the Eagles, you just have Foles with Jalen Hurts to kind of get you through.
Yeah, or I wonder, like the other one, I wonder would somehow the Colts end up with Foles, even if they're not involved in the Wentz deal? Could you turn around if you're the Eagles and send Foles to the Colts for like a third or something?
I think under no circumstances can you, if you're trying to make the playoffs, have Foles making $20+ million.
Yeah, that's true.
Unless Frank's real, unless they just don't have another option, which they kind of. Some of these teams are like, what are the Saints going to do? This is where the Niners, I think a lot of people would say Jimmy's a shitty option. He is at least an option that other teams, like the Bears and Colts right now, have no options. Like, unless they make a move, they got nothing.
If you told me right now Jimmy Garoppolo plays 16 games, which is a coin flip, which is why you're looking at other options. It's one of the reasons you're looking at other options. He was not very good before he got hurt this year in a game and a half. But if you told me he's playing
no off season,
huh? What do you mean?
Like no practice or anything.
Oh right? Yeah, but he was on the team before, so
yeah. Trying to be like Jimmy's brother here.
If you told me he plays 16 games, that's a better option than what the Colts and the Bears have right now. Yeah. Guys, what did you think? This is from David. What did you think of John Lynch saying earlier that not drafting Patrick Mahomes is going to haunt them for a while? Yeah.
Yeah, see, to me, a lot of people he did say, I did try to talk Kyle into it a little. Do you see that part?
No, I did not see that part.
Yeah, I mean, kind of, not tongue-in-cheek, but like, Kyle, they were dead set on him. That's not just such an old story. It doesn't even matter.
They decided not to.
Yeah. You know a pretty crazy Super Bowl stat?
Let's talk
Peyton Manning's in the Hall of Fame. So you got to go 5 years since you retired, right?
Yeah.
In the Hall of Fame. In that 5-year stretch, so basically since he was in the Super Bowl, I think, is this Super Bowl 55?
Super Bowl 55. That's what this is, yeah.
Yeah. So Peyton and the Broncos won Super Bowl 50, right? Won Super Bowl 50. Elway got to hold up the thing right next to Peyton. It was cool. In the next 5 years, Tom went to 4 out of 5 Super Bowls, and of the 4, he's won 3 of those 4, and he's got a chance to win his 4th. Think how fucking nuts that is. That's insanity. How did that happen? Isn't that crazy?
That is wild.
Who would have thought? Like, oh, Tom's going to go to the next 4 out of 5.
So Tom had won.
Excuse
4
me. I guess
Super
he's
Bowls.
won 2. He's won 2 of 3 of the last 4.
Yeah, because he went to 3 in a row though.
3. Yeah.
He went to 3 in a row. Beat the Falcons. Lost to the Eagles. Beat the Rams.
So he's gotten to 3 of the last 4 4 of the last 5 Super Bowls.
Yeah. Yeah, because they beat the Seahawks the year before in Super Bowl 49.
Jesus.
Right. So now this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's been to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the last 7. Is that right? I think so.
Yeah, that's pretty good. But he's been to 4 of the last 5, like since Peyton's Super Bowl.
So, but what
And
I'm
then
saying
5
is
in
when
the last
Peyton won
7.
that Super Bowl, Tom had won 4 Super Bowls at that point in time, right?
Yes.
So it's like Peyton, he's like edged closer. He's got half as many Super Bowls as Tom, and Tom won 2 after that. John says the Niners have to draft a cornerback in the first round, don't they? This brings up, I just the other day was thinking about draft picks. Does it feel to you like if we did a study, John, cornerback would be the most missed player in the first round? Like what position has the biggest hit rate and the worst hit rate?
Quarterback would be pretty low.
Quarterback would be pretty low.
Because I think more position players like wide receivers, corners on a given year, right? Every year there's probably 3 to 4 of those. So quarterbacks can be, some years there's 2, other years there's 5. But their rate is dramatically just we saw that we've been talking about that first round quarterbacks the last decade. Remember, it was really low since 09 to 16. I mean, it's just not very high. If people
one was still on the same team, and the only one was Wentz. Yeah,
and I'd say of the group, it was like Stafford and Cam were royal successes relative to the other guys. Right? They were on their teams for a long period of time, multiple contracts. One, Cam was a major hit for Carolina.
Yeah.
Like Cam was dramatically a bigger deal to Carolina than Wentz or Goff, right, to their franchises.
Yeah, because
just
Cam
given
became
his
an
length,
MVP.
Superstardom. Yeah.
Let him do a Super Bowl.
I think Goff would say he led you to Super Bowl too, even though it doesn't feel like it.
It was in that Super Bowl that people first began to realize he wasn't good enough. Like he might not be the answer.
Starting with his coach.
Mike says, Tom Brady has had Troy Aikman's career since Peyton Manning retired.
See, I'm going to call bullshit on that. Remember in the Super Bowl that he lost to the Eagles? Remember he threw for like 550 yards?
Well, he's just saying he won 2 Super Bowls. I think he's just saying he's got as many rings since Peyton retired as Aikman.
Oh, yeah. I thought he meant like he was like Aikman, like getting carried,
No. I don't think so. I think he's just. Maybe he means that.
Okay.
If he means that, then I'm with you.
That is
people arguing about Damon Arnett in the comments on February 7th before the Super Bowl. I love it.
I can't do that.
Do we need to let us know in the comments? How many of you guys saw all our props? Because
put them back up there.
Viewership is put them back up. Let's follow back up on the props. These are mine. Mike Evans to be the MVP. This is what I'll be rooting for. Harrison Butker to be the MVP, butt kicker. Levante David MVP. Mahomes. I've got Mahomes or Brady scoring the first touchdown is good for me. They got to run it in though. And then Mahomes exactly 24 completions.
Your key to that is going to be for either team when they get in the red zone will be to get that play where the dude's on the sideline and get shoved out of bounds right at a little past the 1, right at the little dash.
Or going over the middle, right? Like you're on like the 19-yard line, you go over the middle of Kelsey, he doesn't quite get there.
Yeah, that'll be key. I would say the Bucks would be more likely to do it. Andy he's got some plays there, like some flips and some
it's going to take
screens.
It's going to take a play to not work and Mahomes to just run it in.
That is possible.
Whereas Brady would be a designed
out, run up. Yeah, Brady's got to be the Drew Brees one.
I could just in my head picture Brady just like spiking the football on the first play.
I can too.
First drive of the game.
Well, I can also. That's where I need if they're at like the 15-yard line. That's why I got Gronk. I got him to score the first touchdown. Just a little bit. Brady's comfortable with them. Maybe they're doubling Evans.
What do we?
Maybe Godwin has a drop on the drive and he just goes to Old Faithful. They're in the fucking commercial together.
Is that what it was?
Gronk?
Yeah.
I got him 1,400 plus 1,400.
Oh, sorry. I'll fix that.
That'd be a big one for me.
That would be. I almost went with Cameron Brate. I'm telling you guys, first touchdown, but I didn't want it to be over, so that's why I went with some other bigger props. I like this one, John, Honey Badger. I think it's a great pick. And then,
I think the key with either one of those two guys, pick 6.
Yeah.
Because I think both of them could have 8 to 10 tackles. But you get like, damn, he had 9 tackles, a TFL, and a pick 6, and it was a defensive game. Boom. I do always feel that's where the quarterbacks linger. Like, you could throw 1 touchdown, but if it's like the walk-off touchdown, like, what a throw by Mahomes. It's like, oh, fuck. A little bit NBA Finals-y.
Here, people are going. Let's just look at. You want to look at some other MVP?
Scotty Miller, book it.
Yeah, since we're talking about it, let's just look at these real quick here if you guys want to get in.
Shaq Barrett, MVP.
Super Bowl MVP odds. Let's see if we can see this here on the stream. That might not be big enough for everybody to look at. Is that worth looking at, fellas, or is that too small? Can you guys see that?
It's hard for me to be able to tell from my angle.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll just bring it up on the big screen.
I don't know if you guys can see this, but how do I make this bigger here?
Oh yeah, it's very seeable.
Okay.
On the big screen.
Okay. So we've got here's some MVP. So people want to know Gronk MVP odds. Gronk is plus 5,000. Right. So that would mean.
Don't totally hate Lenny.
It's small. People are saying it's small.
Well, I mean, if you're on your phone, it's going to be really small, and I think a lot of people watch on their phone.
Yeah. We can bail out of this, and I can just tell you what they are. JPP odds. You know, I was actually looking at that one because JPP is like second on the team in sacks. He's plus 3,000. Plus 3,000. There was somebody else. What'd you say, John? Scotty Miller?
125 to 1. So $100 would make you $1,250.
Wait a second. For MVP?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Miller
you're right.
there.
Yep, 12. Yep, 12,500 to 1. Playoff Lenny. Yeah, he's plus 2,000.
You know the Chiefs have one of the worst rush defenses in the league. What if he got 150, 2 touchdowns, they win it 24 to 18, setting 17 or something.
Oh, that reminds me. I actually meant to go Rojo for the first touchdown of the game. I don't know if I want to go back and do that, but
AB odds? I don't really like AB odds.
Is he hurt? Is he playing?
He's playing. I saw that all the injured guys are going to play. Sammy Watkins, him. This guy says he's putting 10K on
Tails. Never fails. Indomitian. Let me look here. Indomitian. I don't even see him on this. I don't think you can get Vita Vea if you want a big guy.
One thing I think the Super Bowl did a pretty good job of, and maybe all the teams in the South have done this. We can't relate. We're not allowed to do anything out here. Is that when they allow people, because I just looked up at Tampa and it looked like they had a packed house. So basically any seat that they weren't going to fill, they put a fake person in there. So it just looks like the place is full.
Oh, really?
Like they did cardboard cutouts and humans. They're not doing empty seats. At least in the lower bowl, I saw that. Maybe that's more for a TV shot.
What do we got? We got the Weeknd at halftime?
I'll be completely honest. I don't even know who the Weeknd is or what his songs are.
I'll tell you.
I mean, I've heard of them, but I don't know much about them.
If we did a rating of just what makes me go like, oh, when a song comes on, Weeknd might have like 3 of my top songs right now. I don't know the names. They all kind of sound the same, but I go, that and Watermelon Sugar. I just can't lie.
See, my issue with the Weeknd and a little bit like Post Malone, it does feel like they are really, really utilizing technology to their benefit.
Well, I know.
Make sweet sounds.
There's no doubt.
And I'm not hating. It shit works, but...
yeah, I understand. But I just can't, like, what makes me move my bones, makes me move my bones.
Yeah, but, what I wonder about these guys, do they actually sound well or good? Like, do they have good voices? And, or is it just all production?
Yeah, hard to know. I'd have to see them live, and even then you might not.
Little bit get off my lawn. But I do feel like the artists I grew up liking, you had to be able to sing a little, right? Is
like
Weeknd
Britney?
a rapper or a singer?
I don't know. Unclear. Composer, musical talent. Here's John. One other. I was also thinking about doing the last touchdown of the game, just to keep you locked in for the end. But I wonder if you can do that in the game.
I don't know if you can live bet props.
Yeah, you're probably right.
That's a good question.
Campus Stadium is dope. Did you see is it 7 or minus 7 degrees in Kansas City today?
Well, it was -0. I saw Devontae Adams tweeted, how's this even possible? And he just put up Green Bay's weather on his app, and it was -0.
How can it be -0? Isn't it just
That's
0?
what his point was. How's this even? He's only in Green Bay. It's just cold as shit.
John, what are you drinking?
Water.
Yeah. 3 Mr. Spacely Matherin. I wonder if he's related to Benedict Matherin, who's having a great year for the Arizona Wildcats.
Are they going to make the tournament?
No, they have banned themselves from the tournament.
What
What else we got here?
I think LSU did that this year when they were like, remember when they were like 3-5? They're like, oh yeah, we're doing a self ban. We're good. It's like, hey, Ed, you weren't gonna make a bowl game, but then you watched the bowl games. And there were several teams under 500. I think the rules went out this year. Like
That's right.
Someone would have taken LSU in a bowl game.
Well, there was a team who was like 2-4. They played in a bowl game. Remember, 2-6.
Yeah, the rules went out the window. So LSU, 1,000,000% a bowl would have taken LSU, even shitty, right?
Yeah. John, let's not dismiss the comments. Jonathan K28 says, I'm legit hearing the Niners and Jets are swapping ones. 12 for 23.
I would say that'd be pretty bold.
I'm just saying, you never know who's going to be in the comments with some.
No, you can never downplay a source. I've gotten sources from places that I wouldn't thought would be sources, and then they're right. They're like, bro, Nick Mullins tore his Tommy. He's gonna have Tommy John surgery. It turns out he didn't need Tommy John surgery, but they were dead on. Like that was when the game was going on.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I think he tore his labrum or whatever, and then he was just out.
I got a DM. You just reminded me. I got a DM yesterday on Instagram from a guy. I'd have to pull it out to see who it was. Who's at like some flag football or some like quarterback camp in Chino, and he's like, I'm standing here next to
TJ
Zach Wilson. He's like, Zach Wilson spent most of his time talking to the kids. No presents. I'm like, what? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, he's not talking to the adults. He's only talking to the kids. Red flag. Good intel. I don't know if that's a red flag or not, but it means he's a good guy. And all the adults just bug him. Here's a question for you. Is Tom Brady going to have a good game, a great game, just an average game? Because I could easily see, end of the day, Chiefs win by 14, Brady walking off the field, just kind of staring up at the scoreboard, not shaking Mahomes' hand.
I don't know.
But I could also... Huh?
I don't think he'll not shake Mahomes' hand.
That should be a prop. Will Brady shake Mahomes' hand after the game?
Wasn't it Foles that he hates?
Skipped out on Foles.
Yeah, he hates Foles. I think that was more mad at Belichick because remember he threw 500 yards. They benched Malcolm Butler and everyone was pissed. Was that the Malcolm Butler? Yeah, it had to be the Malcolm Butler game.
That was the Malcolm Butler game. Yep.
Yeah. So I expect Brady to play well. I think the Chiefs are going to win. I think Brady's going to play well. I think the Chiefs. This whole deal that happened with Andy's kid, just a fucking terrible, terrible travesty. The little kids. I do think that team is beloved, like when it comes to their coach, that it's one of those things that he had nothing to do with, but it kind of looks bad on him, even though it's like his kid is 38 years old, or 40. It's like he couldn't have done anything. If anything, he helped Britt resurrect his life. And the unique part here, it's not just something happened to a son. A son is part of their family, right? He coaches a position. They've all been around him. I don't know. He's been there the entire time. I think Britt started as like a quality control guy back in 2013.
Yeah.
These guys know him really, really well.
It's brutal.
That's a pretty jolting thing to happen to the team. Not just Andy, but just to the squad, right? If you're Honey Badger, you're sitting next to that guy in meetings every day. Like you're just the defense, right? I mean, it's just these guys love Andy.
I'd be pretty rattled.
Yeah, it's just that's where I think they're going to come firing today.
Yeah, maybe.
That'd be my prediction. I think the Chiefs are going to come out fucking swinging.
Well, you might be right. I don't. Yeah. Smash the like button. Thanks for the reminder, everybody. Is this game going to be high scoring? 49er Faithful 49 asks us.
Remember last year wasn't. They were kicking his ass.
I think the first half line is the first half over-under, John, is 27.5. Under -120. Over +100. So, I don't want to go so far as to say Vegas thinks it'll be the under, but it feels like, at least at this point, the bet is the under, right? You make more money on the over in the first half.
The problem is betting the under in this game. There are just so many fantastic offensive players.
I just wouldn't enjoy it, right? You would hate doing it. It's no fun to bet the under in this game.
Well, it's no fun, but you're all like the Niners under against the Chiefs. It was like, well, the Niners defense is elite. Their offense is a running game. And then the Chiefs offense is great, but the Niners defense is good. It was understandable why it could be kind of a lower scoring game. At least to me, both teams are just fucking stacked on offense. Like, what if Mike Evans has 3 touchdowns in the first half?
Somebody just asked who's going to have the bigger game, Tyreek or Mike Evans. I mean, I'd bet on Tyreek, but I actually did bet on Mike Evans to be the MVP just because the odds are better or longer, I should say. And so I took Evans just because I feel like he's kind of – I mean, it's not that crazy if I told you Mike Evans had the biggest day today, right?
No, not at all. The thing with Tyreek is he is their true number one. Godwin can, take some Evans catches away if he's getting hot. Let's say that the Chiefs do something weird on defense where they're just kind of shedding to Evans' side and Godwin just gets to eat.
That's a good call.
Right? Or Brait or Gronk. That's where the thing is the Chiefs go, you can double Hill. You're not going to – he's going to get open, right? Because when Belichick did it 3 years ago, he had Gilmore. The Bucs don't have a true quote-unquote lockdown corner.
Goldblood says I took the under on 56.5 and Kansas City to cover. It's still at 3. It opened at 3.5, got the 3, and it's just stayed at 3 all week for the most part, right? You said Antonio Brown is playing?
Yeah.
Mr. Superfly asks. Smash that like button. Alex says, yeah, AB's playing.
Yes, 3.
Okay.
There's 2.5. Sometimes if I can see it and then I have to log, it's still 3.
Eric Church is singing the anthem today? According to sources, how about Jay Gruden's criticism of Tony Romo, saying Tony's not congratulations to Tony making 30% of the play. Did you see that yesterday?
No, who did he say that to?
I don't. I just saw a Pro Football Talk article that Jay was like, "Yeah, everyone's acting like Tony Romo does something amazing, predicting 30% of the plays, right? Yeah, we can all do that. 30% of the plays, we can all do that. People are acting like he's some genius." Jay the point of Floyer's article was this is what would make Jay Gruden a good analyst is he's not afraid to rip people. And he was basically saying Tony's kind of got a scam going here where everyone's acting like he's some super genius. And I did have somebody DM me who used to be a player and now is an analyst. They basically sent me the quote and were like, Jay is spot on here. Interesting. But I will say this in defense of Tony. Tony's entertaining. I can see how other players hate the idea that people act like he's a football genius when a lot of people who played the game could kind of guess what play to run. But what I would say back to them is Tony's just Tony's good at his job. People are entertained by him. He's not just a one-trick pony here with the play predicting.
Yeah, my pushback on Jay would be, I don't think Tony was the guy giving himself a blowjob over this. The media, and I saw this yesterday with Jordan Spieth, when they like you and when you're cool with them, you have to be good for them to prop you up because they can prop up anyone, but if we don't think they're good, no one cares. But a guy that is talented, and you get the spotlight on you, and Jordan was a good example of this, they anointed the next Tiger. Tony, who was just nice, everyone gets along with him, was just kind of unique immediately. They quadrupled down. And so did CBS. I mean, which is a media company, but they paid him all this money. He was just unique. I don't think he thought he could make $150 million on doing some scam. He just did what came naturally to him. The media kind of ran with it.
Can I say one thing about that?
The media runs on stuff with you when you're nice to them. They're a pretty easy fiddle to play.
But I don't think that's what happened there. I mean, he was nice. I think the media liked him. But I think...
But it was also way different. No one else was doing that.
I think if you talk to
he said what came naturally to him. Right?
Yeah, I just think all of that is not even media-driven. Obviously, the media is where you get a lot of your stuff. But I just know talking to just casual football fans, they would say things like, oh, this Tony Romo, he's predicting all the plays. I just think that's the thing people who never really paid attention, if you're a casual fan, to what's really being said, right?
I think football people always had a problem, like with Gruden, for example. They're like, he's not really saying much, and it's like, hey guys, that ain't the fucking deal. They're not broadcasting it for you, Jay. But Jay, your point of difference immediately would be if you're gonna get up there and just talk some shit, you are gonna resonate and crush it. So get up there, talk your shit. That to me is go against the grain. I think one thing the media lacks right now is people going against the grain. And I think a lot of it gets back to social media, which luckily, certain ones are dying and other ones are growing. But people that will go against the grain will naturally actually resonate more with actual human beings than they might on, the platforms that the gatekeepers, they don't want to.
I hate talking about this so much, though. I just.
Well, I know, but I'm just telling you, I think Jay Gruden, a point of difference, just get in there and start talking a bunch of shit. You're calling the Lions game, start being like, Jared Goff sucks.
I think we can talk about Romo or Jay without it being like a media thing, because I do think there's just the thing that the media is saying about Tony is what people are saying about Tony. That's. But
I'm talking. The media is irrelevant for the most part. Besides, they can prop you up and bring you down. Tony resonates with human beings.
Yes, I'm just saying. I think what the media says about him is what most casual people who watch him say about him. I do think that one lines up.
I do think he started to take a little heat. Some old school people, like Chris Russo, hates him. Thinks he's kind of overrated.
The test of anything right is time.
It's just hard. His point of difference of calling plays will be difficult as time goes on, right? Because you're just not as locked into football. And that's what all these guys, the Boomer Esiasons, the Chris Sims, you do have, I guess, Joe Montana. Not everyone's good at it. But if you can do the game, it is much easier the moment you get out of the sport to be like, God, we were just talking about two right razor zip you fucking last year in the meeting. Well, what about in 10 years when it's you've played in more, pro-ams than you have football meetings with a team in the last decade, right? So you just won't be assured. That's where Madden and Gruden, why they are made for the longevity, because they're not hanging their hat on that shit, even though they kind of are, but it's really just about their presence, their entertainment. John was not. People act like he was really breaking down X's and O's. That was not his deal. On
his
TV.
Defining characteristic was passion,
excitement, and
which is Tony's.
Wasn't that Madden's?
I would say it's also Tony's. Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Isn't this fun? It's amazing.
Which is a sustainable trait to be a famous, great.
Yeah, as long as you don't burn yourself out or stop caring about it. But for sure, that's always going to be a great quality.
But didn't it feel like Gruden and Madden just had the same juice every time the light went on?
Yeah. And it feels like Tony does, except for when Tony was at home.
And the good part about working as a broadcaster, unlike working in the sport, and we've seen it with Gruden, as a broadcaster, you don't have to be right or wrong. Just fucking take a stance. That's one area where John would be good at, especially in the draft. Remember, you got to draft Johnny Manziel. Couldn't have been any more wrong. Well, but he would he's no passionate question about this Johnny football guy.
And the other thing is and I tell when I work with somebody who's new.
Mayock was really good at that, I thought, always on TV.
Yeah, and it helps when you're right about a big one like he was with Khalil Mack. But I've said this a few times to people who I'm working with for the first time, doing a basketball game, where you're hey, what should they run coming out of this huddle? People are afraid they might run something other than what I say. It's yeah, there's 100 plays they could run out of this huddle. Just give me one. It doesn't matter if it's the one they run, because if you get it right 1 out of 10 times, people are oh my God, that was exactly what he said. Got to get the ball in the hands of Steph Curry, John.
Yeah,
good call.
The back cut they ran in the first quarter really worked. I'd probably go back to that.
Run it again.
People are so terrified to be wrong. You know the best part about the fucking media? You guys have been running this scam the whole time, though, guy, is when you work in football, if you're wrong, but it's not even true, you get fired, but you do get exposed if you're right or wrong. In media, you can be wrong all the time. As long as you're passionate about it and having a good time, people are going to like you.
That's why, John, I'm taking the Bucks and the points, but I like Kansas City to win. Either way, I'm right.
Yeah, I'm taking Kansas City. That's why whenever anyone's like, what are their picks? Who gives a fuck?
Well, I think everyone just likes knowing. Doesn't a fan you're not a fan, a friend asked me today, who you picking?
Well, yeah, in that situation, but to me, part of and as we move forward, gambling's a big part of this. If I'm putting money on it.
That's a real pick.
Fuck yeah.
So
you're running a scam if you're just picking someone and not putting any money. You had no juice in the deal.
All right, so let's make some picks here. I think we talked about this on the podcast this week. We made a video about it. In my core of cores, I think Kansas City wins, but my pick this week on the pod was Tampa and 3 points. But that comes more from a place of if Tom Brady wins the Super Bowl, I think it's easy to kick yourself. Did I really not just bet on Tom? But I do like the Chiefs to win this game.
Yeah, I like Kansas City big. I think Kansas City wins by like 10 points. I like the Chiefs. Yeah, I like Chiefs. I'm telling you, I think they win handily, and I think Tom can play well. I just think that Mahomes they're going to be on a mission today. I'm expecting a mission game because last year was the opposite. We just talked. It's funny how once you become a champion, like Mahomes, Super Bowl champion, for about 85% of that game, it's like, God, Mahomes is getting rocked like this. And I wanted San Francisco to win. It'd be great for my business. But it was like I was torn because I was like also rooting for Andy. I was legitimately a neutral bystander last year, kind of torn. I remember just thinking the whole time, it can't be this easy. Mahomes is getting rocked.
I think from a business standpoint this time, it's easy to root for Kansas City, right? It's better for the NFL if the Chiefs win.
I agree.
Because Mahomes climbing this mountain, where you could even have the conversation about could he ever get to Brady, whether you think that conversation's dumb or not. He wins this championship, back-to-back Super Bowl titles. That would be, and like I said, huh? Were you laughing?
That would be legendary.
Oh.
Just Mahomes, like how serious he looks. I mean, he's walking out there.
I love introductions. I love the team running through the tunnel. Are they doing I hate when they do. I like when the whole team comes out together. Like, did you see somebody posted a couple days ago? I knew the Eagles were winning the Super Bowl when, and they showed the Eagles run out from their Super Bowl.
That's the thing. Since like that, remember New England in 2001? Instead of getting
yeah, I don't think their point was because they ran out together. It was just like the moment was awesome. Like the music was blaring and the guys were just like going nuts and like banging their chest and everything.
I would imagine you don't get too many team runouts in the Super Bowl that aren't pretty badass, right?
No, they're all it's so cool.
That walk, I think you get this in the national championship. Actually, it feels like every Alabama game, their walk kind of gives you chills. It's like, God, they're not fucking around here. And in the Super Bowl, you get it a lot with football. Like, do you notice, when's the last time you noticed, like, guy, remember that walkout by the 19 Niners week 7? Like, you don't notice during the regular season in the pros. Because I think part of it, guys come out at different times. If you're not home, you like kind of mingle out at your own time. It's not as serious in the NFL non-playoffs.
Yeah.
Right?
One of my favorite things in TV is
in
ESPN's
college, I remember it was always everyone was on point. Like that was a big moment in college.
Sometimes you would march from a certain place, walk through the fans, right? I think one of the best things the last few years, I noticed it a couple of years ago, ESPN would do it, especially on their Big Ten college football broadcast, is it'd be like, hi, everybody, welcome, blah, 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 Guy and John. John, it's going to be a big day for Justin Fields today, don't you think? And then you'd say something and be like, and then you would stop and go, here come the Buckeyes, and they would just be quiet. And it would just be crowd shots and smoke machine, and here comes the Buckeyes, right? And they'd be like, hey, John, and for Michigan, Jim Harbaugh's got to win this one. You'd be like, Jim Harbaugh, blah, blah, blah. And then here come the Wolverines, and you'd be quiet. And it'd just be like 30 seconds of silence.
Dead serious.
And just be crowd noise and crowd shots, and you'd get like the echo from the tunnel, right? It's like, come on, man, we do this today. And then, here we go. And you'd have the shot of like Dabo or whoever holding the players back, and then let's run. That to me is one of the biggest fraud moves going, is when a coach tells you, I don't like to run out in front of the players. This is about them. It's like, okay, like if you don't do it for that reason, fine. But once you announce to me that you don't you notice how I don't run out in front of my players? Now it is about you.
Like, do you think it's a little bit of a red flag that Nick walks in front of his team?
No, I don't. Leader in general taking his team into battle. I got no problem. I love it.
Did you see the story today that Arians, if he wins, might retire and they'll just elevate Todd?
Yeah, although somebody replied to me, I guess that was part of what Chris Plank tweeted that Locke and Forrest said, but then somebody replied, I retweeted it, and they said that Arians said earlier this week he's not going to do that. So I don't know.
Well, if you were him and he retired, why wouldn't you just try to win it again next year? Right?
Yeah, it's a good question. Unless you just physically, maybe it's like it's been a hard year for you.
One thing I noticed right there is Tom was a little more calm. Remember back in the day, Super Bowls, he'd be headbutting and freaking out. Now it's like, because Super Bowl is basically 2 games, right? You get the first half, then you take like almost an hour break, and then you do the second half. Right. So you can't, if you're 43, he doesn't want to peak. This is where Tom separates. Like, and I think Mahomes, was pretty calm too. And some guys naturally, like about to play the Super Bowl, hey guys, we got about 4.5 more hours. Like typically an NFL game, it's just like 3 hours, right? Come out the 15-minute halftime. But isn't halftime in the Super Bowl like 45 minutes?
long,
They say like
yeah.
you got to go back and rest.
I wonder if Tom, like he's got a team that has the possibility of being overamped just because all these guys haven't been here. So maybe he takes the approach of being calmer.
I don't know if I was watching something or heard on a podcast. It was either like Bunting, the corner, or one of the DBs, Winfield or something, after they won the AFC or the NFC Championship game in Green Bay. Tom, after the game, they're all in the locker room. Like Arians already given the speech. Everyone's just kind of like sitting back, like taking a deep breath. And one of the DBs was in full-on tears. Like, we did it, man. And just cry. And Tom goes up to him, dead serious, like, why are you crying? Kind of like, bro, we have not accomplished anything yet.
That's so great.
But it's just that guy to that moment, if you think about it, especially if you're like a 6th-round pick, you just won the NFC Championship at Lambeau. It could overwhelm someone if you're 20. Hell, you could be Mike Evans and be overwhelmed. It's not weird at all. And this is what we talked about. Like, how are the Bucs? They're not. Tom gets it. Gronk understands it. But like Mike Evans, did he ever win anything at A&M? Like, yeah, they beat Alabama one time. It's not like they were playing in the Final Four. Not many guys. Chris Godwin, where did he even go to school? Like Penn State back when they weren't as good?
I think that's correct.
I guess Lenny has been in the AFC Championship game that one year against Tom. Remember when the Jags were good? He was a starting running back. JPP's. Like, they have a couple guys. Sue's been in the Super Bowl. But it's different when the whole unit, right? Like Honey Badger looks, all of his DBs.
Bruce Arians? Not as a head coach.
Not as a head coach. I think it's easier for coaches than players, though, don't you think? They just stay on the routine in the game, and
Mr. Superfly 87 says the Weeknd spent like $7 million on this halftime show. How's that even possible?
Because isn't one of the things Super Bowl doesn't pay you?
But I mean, how is it possible for a halftime show to cost $7 million? Stages and fireworks?
But even if it was, wouldn't the NFL just like, hey, we don't pay you? But
yeah, I don't think you pay out of pocket.
Maybe he just needed the write-off. Wouldn't totally.
He bought all the stuff at the end of Q4.
Well, if someone's like, listen, you need to get between 5 and 10 million. We need to get a good write-off to get into this lower bracket. Yeah. I'd be like, well, let's fucking.
You want to give it to charity? No. Well, let's pay for the halftime show out of pocket.
We got to do it anyway.
All right.
Do you think this breaks records today, or do you think the game?
This
is
YouTube
dependent?
stream might.
Well, the game.
My initial reaction was yes, that this thing's going to break records, but then you look and everything's. But yeah, I think so. I mean, how? Well, yeah.
It'll be interesting. If it's way down, then you notice there might be something to a buzz and a lead up. If it's way up, it was just made for Corona.
Eric says supposedly spent $7 of his own money. Blake says the original budget didn't meet the vision he had for the performance, as he said on an interview today. Wow. It's kind of crazy.
Smart. I mean, you might only get one shot. You're like, well, $7 million.
Do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity only comes once in a lifetime. Yo. Yeah.
Baby mama drama?
Too much for me to want to.
Okay.
All right, so we'll have some videos up after the game. I was watching golf. It's now turned into In-Depth with Graham Bensinger, Tony Romo interview. Like they're tricking people into staying on the golf on NBC.
I wonder if you'd be better off just going black and just be like, you guys, we're just gonna not do anything, or just throw all your inventory of unused ads, or just double down and just run more ads, and just when people change channels during commercial break, but they're not. They don't.
But
change.
You'd only run ads that have promo codes, so you get paid off the promo codes because nobody would actually want to give you money.
I know
for that
tough spot.
You just made me think of something. Oh, yeah. Don't forget, if you've got 2 TVs, here's the trick. If you have 2 TVs or an iPad, the wings get a little hot in here. You put one TV behind the other one so you can always look to the other play. Hopefully the fire department doesn't have to show up. Maybe I should go help.
Okay, later.
All right. Podcast, videos, all that stuff coming after the game, everybody. Subscribe to the channel.